believed in one another, and we put an emphasis on that this week. Playing together, playing as one, bringing energy and creating our own energy, moving with urgency, and just going out there and believing in one another. And I'm happy this group got it done today. I'm happy.
We'll go Mike Kay and then Zach Berman.
Hey, Jalen, can you take us through the touchdown throw to Alshon?
Yeah, it was a look where I believe we had cover zero, a man-to-man look, and had a free guy off the edge, and I knew I had to get the ball out fast, and just kind of wanted to keep the aggressiveness there, and took that shot to Alshon, hit him on his back shoulder, and he made a great play.
Did he say anything to you after?
Good stuff.
Zach and then Jeff Skaversky.
Hey, Jalen, how did you think your legs changed the game and changed the offense?
I just think, but going out there and maybe extending it sometimes always helps. I think up front we did a great job to allow some of those things to happen. And one thing when I look back on this game, a lot of money on the table for us. A lot of money on the table we left out there. So we're very excited. We're happy we got a W today against a really good team. But we're going to go back to work. We got a 24-hour rule on this thing, and we clearly understand that. So a lot to work on, a lot to build on. And I'm excited to go practice, honestly, go back game.
Right now, the Chiefs clinch the division yet again with their win over Miami, their fifth straight AFC West crown. But the Dolphins' loss was the Steelers' win because they've got this primetime game coming up against the Bills, but they've already clinched a playoff berth with Miami's loss. You see the Bills leading the East. Titans got it down in the South right now, but Browns, Colts, Dolphins all in the wild card mix right now with Ravens, Raiders, Patriots still, believe it or not, with a chance. All right, so we got two teams in the AFC with only one loss right now before the Steelers play tonight, Tim. But you said there's one team clearly better than the other one. I assume that's Kansas City. But how do you see this entire AFC picture playing out right now?
Well, I do think Kansas City's the best team in the AFC. Looking at that list, look, I think all of those division winners or leaders right now, like they're good enough to go to the Super Bowl. All of those teams right now that we see at the top of their division can do it. And then I would say this, the Colts that are, in that wild card mix, they are a team that, I think could get hot. And I think that, when you look at Cleveland, similar thing. But those four division leaders right now, on any given Sunday, because the ball bounces funny at times, I think they have to feel really good about their chances. Teams that have good quarterbacks, guys that are playing well, and have other elements of their football team that are good enough to get it done.
Well, that's a good point, Rob. I'm going to ask your final takeaway in a moment. And I know it's about the Chiefs, but as you look at some of the other teams in that AFC, if you had to put your money on a team right now that could potentially make that deep run and maybe see the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, who is it?
It'd have to be a team with a great defense. So anybody that can match up against what the Chiefs are able to put on that football field with the speed. So you'd think the Steelers could potentially have the pass rush to get after Mahomes, make him uncomfortable in the pocket, and the secondary that can cover. So you're going to have to have a great defense to play Kansas City. So when I look at that, maybe the Steelers can do it if they can get healthy here and continue to progress at the end of the season. I know they had a hiccup against Washington, but they got to get back on track tonight.
Like Tim, you believe the Chiefs clearly are the best team in the AFC and the favorites to win a second straight Super Bowl. But what did you see from them today, Rob, that just cements that belief that they are clearly the best team?
Well, man, I just think it's their ability to score quickly, throwing three turnovers, having three interceptions and being down. Some teams, they wouldn't be able to recover from that. But Pat Mahomes obviously really isn't fazed by the turnovers. They have so much speed on offense with Hill, and you have Kelsey, who's your intermediate route guy that's very good and explosive in finding the space. And with Pat Mahomes extending plays, being able to throw the football anywhere on the field, he's got to be one of the most impressive quarterbacks that I have seen as a player. And now that I'm commentating, he's the best in the league. So with that, I think it's going to be really tough for the Chiefs to not win the AFC and get into the Super Bowl with the way that they're playing offensively.
Yeah, again, especially you have a game today where they turn over 4 times and still win on the road. That tells you a lot about the resiliency of that squad as well, falling behind in this game once again. Tim, let me finish up with you. We started talking about the quarterback situation in Philadelphia, and a lot of questions will be asked and have to be answered over the next few days. What do you think about what's happening there with Doug Peterson's squad? Eagles quarterback situation over the next several days. But now to the AFC. Kansas City, top team in the AFC, taking on the Dolphins down in Miami. Patrick Mahomes, first drive of the game for KC, and Mahomes' pass is tipped at the line, picked off by Byron Jones, and he fumbles at the end of the play, but the Dolphins do recover. Only the 3rd interception of the year for Mahomes, but it would not be his last in this game. Under pressure here. Not an interception, but a huge loss inside the 5-yard line. Loses 30 yards on that sack, and then this one is picked off by Eric Rowe. 2 picks in the first quarter for Mahomes. The Dolphins would take a 10-0 lead, but then Mahomes like, yo, we are down, but we are far from over. Travis Kelce, he's open. We say that a lot. Chiefs would end up taking a 14 lead at the half, 3rd quarter. Dolphins with the punt. So McCole Hardman. And he had a lane, he had blockers, and he had all the speed. 67-yard touchdown as the Chiefs roll off 28 unanswered points. It would actually be 30 unanswered by the time we pick up with Tua right here. Looking for Mike Gesicki. Into traffic, didn't matter. 2nd touchdown of the game for Gesicki, so the Dolphins now trail at 30-17. Tua not done. Sneaks it in from a yard away. It's now a 30-24 game. Chiefs ensuing possession. It's 4th and 1, and they go for it. And Mahomes to Tyreek Hill. Chiefs would win it 33-27. They clinch the AFC West title. Here's Jeff Darlington from South Beach.
Well, the Chiefs had one of those days on Sunday that reminds us of 2 things. Number 1, it isn't always easy for Kansas City. And number 2, even on their mediocre days, they're so very hard to beat. On a day that started with a first quarter that saw Patrick Mahomes throw 2 interceptions, had 1 fumble, and also took a 30-yard sack, it ended with the Chiefs holding off these feisty Dolphins.
You get angry, you don't want to turn the ball over and put your defense in that situation. At the same time, I have the ultimate confidence in the guys around me that we're going to keep battling and find ways to win football games. And kind of like I said, our defense kept us in the game. They kept getting stopped whenever they were just on the field. It seemed like the entire first quarter. And then all of a sudden we were leading at halftime. And I feel like this team plays better when their back's up against the wall, and that's a good thing to have about a football team.
We had a few tip balls. That always, you're trying to avoid that. But at the same time, it's football. Guys are going to get their hands in the passing lane here and there. And the biggest thing is how are we gonna handle that, And I think Pat does it better than anybody in the league. Is when adversity hits, his level of play goes up.
We got to finish on both sides of the ball. Make sure we take care of business there. Not a lot of yards, but we've got to take care of the ball. Too many turnovers, and can't do that against good football teams.
Perhaps the Dolphins could have better benefited from the Chiefs' miscues if they weren't so injury depleted on offense. Regardless, Mahomes still had 393 yards, and the Chiefs locked up the AFC West. Now they can spend the rest of their regular season focusing on locking up that ever-important number 1 seed. In Miami Gardens, Jeff Darlington, ESPN.
All right, look, I know we've been hyping up this Chiefs offense for a while now, but I still feel as if some of y'all don't quite understand what KC's been doing. I think this should help. Over the last 2 seasons, including the playoffs, KC has 8 wins when trailing by double digits. That's the most in the league. They've scored 20 or more unanswered points in a game 12 times. That's tied for the most. And number 15 has only thrown multiple picks in a game twice. Today and Super Bowl 54. And oh yeah, they won both of those games. But here's the deal. Speaking of the Super Bowl, Mahomes remembering that his 2 worst games in the last 2 seasons have come down in Miami, yet he's 2-0 at that stadium. He went to Twitter and said, I have a love-hate relationship with Hard Rock Stadium. Long as you win, you can love it and hate it all you want to. Tim, let me start with you. The Chiefs won this game despite committing 4 turnovers, including 3 picks from Patrick Mahomes. How did Kansas City's defense help them win this game?
Well, listen, they played complementary football, and the mark of a good team is when, one phase of your team is not playing well, the other group steps it up. And that's what happened. We saw the special team score. Obviously, that helps when your offense turns it over.